All right, I'm here.
All right, that should be better. Let me just rechange my name to John Wicks.
I just call myself Archie Seeker. It's funny.
Give everyone a couple minutes.
Yeah, you good, man. That's fine. I'm gonna pull up pull up the Word doc I had created. Well, all right. So obviously you can talk. We can talk.
Yep.
Obviously, we'll do Q&A after, but um, we'll go over it, and then I'm thinking like so we don't cause confusion. We'll highlight from which side we talk about because obviously there's like two sides to analyze this. So I think that's part of the confusion for people.
Yeah, the goal for today is I've seen a lot of people just overcomplicating it. I just kind of want to dumb it down to basics, and kind of give people like a why behind why this works. And I would love your view on that too.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I'll let
Yeah,
you
because
start.
everybody's like overcomplicating it, and I want to just make it. I would just slow everyone down and just remember that that's the most fundamental concept. These levels that we see, king nodes, gatekeeper nodes, act as deflections, and we look for reshuffling in the other direction. We look for accumulation in the other direction, but then we can talk about the why as well, which is why I wanted to invite you here, architect.
I appreciate that, man. I'll let you start, and
Yep.
we'll let people come in. I might
Yeah,
just
sure, sure, sure.
because he's like trying to find the channel. I told him to check announcements, but
Yep. I'm gonna give everybody a couple minutes. We should be able to pass the 100-person cap, which should give me the license to be able to see up to 500 people. So, and this is recorded. I think it should be auto recording right now. Yeah, it's recording. For everyone who is tuning in, this will be recorded. I'll have it posted, the Zoom link posted after, either in announcements or in the webinar recaps. So, if anyone wanted to rewatch or anyone who wasn't able to make it on the live, I had a couple European people reach out and ask if it was going to be recorded. So shout out to you guys.
nice, good job, Last.
Cool. Looking forward to it, last. Yeah, I have an idea of what's on the roadmap for Heatseeker. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not liberty to like disclose like what's going to come out next or when. Um, but yeah, there's very exciting stuff coming and very exciting stuff coming soon. Very soon.
All right, cool. We just passed 106, so yeah, we've got a 500.
Cool. Yep. No problem passing the 100% cap then. Yeah, there's a button to get back to dark mode. At the top next to the user profile, there's like a little moon icon that you can just hit and switch from light to dark. I have it on system.
I'm good to start whenever you are.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just want to see if anyone else pops in before we start. If not, I'll probably just get started.
Oh, thanks, guys. Archie's the man. I try my best.
Archie is the man.
I appreciate you guys.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Let me just check Discord, make sure nobody else is having issues getting in.
Not Archie Timu. Which Archie though? Sorry, bro. I apologize. I shouldn't be making fun of you having the same name. But I am the original, so I'm going to hold it.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, people will just keep trickling in from here. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys. Nice to see so many people kicking it on a Wednesday night. Happy to have y'all. I wanted to do this session. Um, there's been a lot of confusion going around lately. I just wanted to bring everybody back and kind of just like kind of instill best practices. Of course, we can talk about the why behind Heatseeker. We can talk about how dealer positioning and vanna and gamma nodes stacking together kind of affect price action and volatility, causing Vex to lead the way and stuff. We can get into all that, but I just want to bring everybody back to basics first and foremost, because I'm seeing a lot of people get analysis paralysis, just overthink things and overanalyze things. When at the base fundamental, uh, the most important thing that we can do is identify ranges, play deflections of ranges, keep an eye on volatility too. Um, look for accumulation in the other direction if you're looking to play deflection of a range and stuff. Look for confluence if you're playing the indices. Those are like at its most fundamental concepts, the most important things that we can do. Make sure everybody's muted. Should be good here. Yeah, let me just make sure because I think I had it to everyone should be auto muted. Um, I'm gonna have architect because I have it set so that only I can unmute, but I'm gonna have architect be able to be unmuted as well. All right. Okay, cool. Um, okay, so just wanted to get started. The information that we're gonna present is, of course, for educational purposes only. You know, Options are volatile instruments. It can lead to substantial losses if you don't know what you're doing. Um, and yeah, make sure just aside from everything, do your own due diligence. What matters most is your analysis, um, your conviction. All we can do is kind of show you, guide you in ways of how to best utilize this tool. But at the end of the day, it is a tool and it's not perfect. So just keep that in mind. With that being said, uh, let's go ahead and get started. Share my screen. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so at its most core fundamental value, we want to play deflections of king nodes, of gatekeeper nodes, of the bottoms and tops of ranges. We look to line that up with price action, with support and resistance lines. We want to see confluence, right? Double bottoms like we had on MQ the other day, right? We had this level here that had been tested. Here, we went down and hunted liquidity. We got that nice reversal. Now it looks like NVIDIA ER is going to send us higher. Also, really interesting that that VIX expiration came and gone, and the VIX is looking a little bit better. we had that 32 node for the expiry that, oh, I mean, now we're kind of seeing 30 and 34 grow. Interesting. Nevertheless, what's important is that we pair price action with Heatseeker confluence to give us the best outcome possible. Glitch's system, his bootcamp is designed in that way. Who is drawing on the screen? How do you even turn that off?
Come on, guys. Be professional. If you're gonna do this, I'm not putting up with it either. So come on. Grow
Yeah,
up.
I'm gonna turn off annotate on shared content. There we go. Yeah, already, right? Um, so yeah, we're looking for price action meets Heatseeker confluence. Glitch's system revolves around the three-step approach, which is price action, Heatseeker confluence, and glitch dot for entry. But for our sakes, we're just using price action and Heatseeker. So just wanted to remind everybody, when we're looking to play deflections of range, we're looking for, like, if you're playing 0-day expiration, right? You want to see some sort of confluence across the board. Everything may not line up perfectly, right? SPX may be sitting on a gatekeeper node. QQQ may be showing exhaustion, a trend exhaustion, and SPY could also be showing a trend exhaustion, but we have a little bit of divergence. We need to have some sort of bull and bear case that if we were to take this thesis that we have on QQQ, would it hold up on SPY or SPX, right? So it's important for us to find that confluence, right? We also have the VIX, right? So oftentimes you'll even see the VIX hitting support levels or resistance levels. You'll see it hitting gaps, which I know Architect talked about last week quite a bit. That we have these bull and bear cases above and below levels on the VIX that ultimately leads to rips higher or dumps lower, which ultimately causes the market to reverse or crash the downside. So these are just some important things to keep in mind. You can even see here on the VIX, just from a price action standpoint, this is a double top, right? We hunted this level at 22.75 and we got the dump. We got the reversal, right? We did end up breaking above. We did hold, I would say like this is like the line in the sand too. Like below an architect maybe can kind of give his 2 cents on that too, but like the VIX, like above 22, like we can still see higher. Not we could break down. Um, so yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that for now. I'll I'll let you continue with your
Yeah,
and then I'll parse it afterwards.
yeah, sure thing. Yeah, this looks like a spot that the VIX needs to hold if we're going to continue a downtrend or break below this level. We can kind of start to see a little bit of a reversal back to the upside. Um, Nevertheless, support and resistance is going to be very, very important for us, right? It gives us overall market context, right? So I see a lot of people um, chasing keynotes, right? Let's say we gap up at open and we have a keynote 50 points higher, but we already gapped up maybe 30 points. It's not really the best idea to chase calls when we already had a massive gap up. It's better to wait for some sort of pullback so you don't get caught um, in drawdown, right? Because let's say you caught, see, let's say you caught this gap up here. Let's say you wanted to chase calls because you saw a keynote to the upside. We already had a massive gap up, right? Of 60 points. Really generally isn't a good idea to try to take calls on a pullback, even like a small little pullback, because while that looks bullish, we're very overextended and we need some sort of reversion back to the downside. We saw that quite a bit. Even on gap downs, right? People wanted to chase puts at the open because they saw what was it, 67, 70 grow into the downside, right? But where would you enter, you know? Let's say you entered maybe like chasing the gap down. Well, your risk to reward really is symmetrical, right? Not really that good. Whereas if you wait for that Heatseeker confluence, you wait for that double top to hit, you wait for QQQ to hit this gatekeeper node, you get a much more cleaner reversal to the downside, right? You get something like that, which is way more asymmetrical than something like that. Trading is all about risk to reward. Trading is all about asymmetric risk to reward, right? Because the idea is to have the flexibility to be able to maybe take one or two losing trades, but the third trade makes up for the losing two, right? Pair that type of asymmetric risk to reward with this with a proven edge with Heatseeker, you have a recipe for success. At that point, it's just managing emotions, curbing your FOMO, um, doing your best to cut your losses and holding your winners, right? Because at the bottom line of it, um, holding your winners is going to be incredibly important. It is difficult to do, but it's incredibly important for us to do as Heatseeker traders because we are trying to catch reversals. We are trying to catch reversals of trends, right? We're not just looking to take 10 points. We're looking to catch the meat of the move. We're looking to catch the UNHs. We're looking to catch the BYNDs. We're looking to catch the opens, right? Because we have the tool that tells us where dealers are positioned. We can see where they're positioned. It's just a matter of trusting the tool, finding a good entry point, good risk to reward, and letting it ride. So that's kind of my spiel. Let's see if I can find a good example. There was a really, really good example here. I think I went over this one with a student of mine earlier today. Well, this is kind of like a good example of the type of trade you want to take, right? You want to be able to fade the top and play the bounce off the bottom, right? Like node strength, node color aside, you want to be able to snipe the bottoms and you want to be able to snipe the tops. This in itself is what we want to look for. We don't want to play in the middle, right? We don't want to enter calls at 160 because, well, your risk is 10 points, your reward is 10 points, right? There's no really any point in trying to play in the middle. It's better to play when we hit the extreme end of a range. Yep. I'm gonna go over some questions here. So high VIX, when volatility increases, and Architect can kind of confirm this, VEX tends to take the lead, take control. Is that correct, Architect?
Yeah, so I mean, if you wanna pause on that, I can take on that explanation more. So
Sure, sure,
uh,
sure.
this is why I talk about as long as you guys can hear me loud and clear, right? Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, cool. So if you guys notice when you read my daily insights, right? So take the time to like digest the information. I try to make it clear from the pre-market read if Vanna is going to lead the day or Gamma, right? And so the days literally since last week, I've been saying Vanna is the leader, and you've noticed what's been happening. So let's talk about what that means, right? So think of it as being in a car, right? When volatility is this high and it's moving this much, it is the driver. Okay. So gamma becomes your passenger. All right. They flip, right? So if you're driving a vehicle, your Vanna is now leading to a destination target, which is your gamma, right? And in between, everything that's happening as you go up and down, that's deltas. That's the way I associate it in my head, right? So you have to think about it this way. When it's like this, why is it leading? Well, it's the biggest thing that you should know when you're playing options, right? The market maker that you're playing against, the guy you're trying to beat, right? You want profits, right? He has to price in all this risk all the time. So when it's moving like this, his risk on the board is higher. So he's wants to take that risk out of his hand and put it on yours. So he's going to force you to pay more to make the same risky bet, right? Because he wants to offload his risk, right? It's like going to a casino and being at a table and everybody's winning. Why do you think the guy comes around and says, all right, raise the ante up? All right, raise the ante up, raise the ante up, right? They want the control back. They want you as a player taking the risk, right? So when volatility is bouncing around like this, you have to understand that vanna is going to drive first more than gamma. And so if you start looking at things flipping around, you got to ask yourself, okay, where's my targets and are they aligning? Are my nodes below us on both sides? Are my nodes above us on both sides? Or are they flipped? Or are they one up, one down, right? Start comparing the two. So when I do my analysis in the morning, I look at both sides for that reason. I look at gamma, up, down, up, down. I look at vanna, up, down, up, down. And then I analyze based on my volatility and where my lines are if one's going to drive more than the other, right? So higher VIX does means there's more chances to hit both sides. You hit an upside node, you hit a downside node, you hit upside node again, hit a downside node again. And more chances of that occurring because the movement of price is a lot more. When volatility is compressed, like in the 18s and 17s, 16s, like it was for weeks, you don't, you get more directional days. Like John Wicks can post
Yeah.
those days from like a couple of weeks ago where it's very much controlled. So the simple rule to apply in your head is the rule of 16. Okay. It's a very simple rule. It basically tells you that whatever VIX is trading at, divide that by 16. So if VIX is at 24, divide that by 16. That gives you a percentage. Let's say 1.2%. Now that tells you for the day, the market is pricing in 1.2% movement, which is roughly $9. So in your head, you should know walking in, the price can go up $9, can go down $9, can go up, down, or the combination of both. So you should be prepared for that. If VIX is 17 or 16, it's 1%. Controlled moves, $3 to $4 ranges. You want to back test this? Go back test it. Go look at when VIX was 16, 15, 14, 13. Go look at how the indices performed and you will see it. Go look at when it's in the 20s and 30s when Trump was having his tantrum. Look at how we, right? They have to price that in. So just remember that rule of 16 in your head. So before you open up your brokerage, that's the one thing you should know walking in. Like this is how much the market could move, and the market is going to price that in. So your contracts have to be expensive enough for the market maker to not be caught off guard if there's a $9 move or $8 move or $10 move, whatever it is against him or for it. He will not want to be caught off guard. So he's going to price that in. Y'all follow so far? 16, 1 6, 1 6,
Yeah, 1/6.
1 6.
Yeah, 1/6.
Y'all follow? Cool. Does that make sense? Right? High VIX does not mean going up or going down. You have to notice high VIX just means you are paying more to play and you're going to need to expect to be whipsawed around a lot more. That's all that means. Right? If you want to get more complex and more variables and second and third degree derivatives, I'm happy to do that in another session. But right now, just leave it.
Volga, Voma.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
all that for fun. This is this is first level. So just leave it at that for now, guys. Use a rule of 16, 1 6, and just have that mentality in your head before you open your broker and start throwing things out there.
Yeah. Yeah. These high IV days, I've been seeing a lot of people getting burned. Um, it's much more unforgiving if you're wrong, especially when trying to play reversals. So I if people don't know already, if you're not familiar with high VIX environments, I strongly recommend sizing down. Like if you take SPX normally, I would maybe try to take SPY a little bit. Just because these moves are happening very, very quick. These ranges are expanded. SPX and SPY are now having like 40, 50 point days, like it's nothing. Size down. Size down. A rug pull setup. Yeah, rug pull setup is basically like a Heatseeker pattern in which you have a yellow stack node and a purple node below it with no observable floor. When you have that type of setup, we can consider that a rug pull setup. Yeah. Let me see. I think Spy had one briefly the other day. And I think that was no. I think that was Friday. Yeah, I think it was Friday.
What are you looking for?
Someone's asking about a rug pull setup.
Rug pull setup. All right. I mean, I can explain it. I mean,
Yeah, you can go ahead and explain it. I'm gonna look
you'll
for
have
a
to
chart
explain
pattern.
it from like the maps and stuff because I watch rug pull setups all the time, right? So I think one of the ones that Glitch talks about, right? So it's like it's the reverse of, well, he calls it the Barney node. So it's just think of it the opposite. You have a purple node underneath a yellow node above spot price, right? And so if you're going higher, you have a oh, he said you had one today at 1236 on SPX according to one of the listeners. Um,
Okay,
so
perfect.
you
Thanks.
might be able to replay it and find it on 1230. But the point is you got a negative purple node above you and a positive yellow node above that, right? Stacked. And you try to approach it, and then you have a hard rejection combined with a spike up in VIX. Now your Vanna and Gamma are going to combine together for a big sell. Why? Because again, think about it this way when I explain it, right? When volatility expands, your deltas expand with it. And if spot price is dropping, and the person is offside, the market maker, and the IV is going against him, he's going to need to sell twice as hard, or three times as hard, or four times as hard. So as you drop, he sells more. It's the feedback loop I talk about. That's when I mentioned
Yeah.
there's certain days, don't go long, don't go short at like 9:45 a.m. And like I see people for 5 hours trying to fight the trend, and we're literally just going the same way for 5 hours. Those should be your recap learning days, right? When those things are happening, it is a feedback loop that you do not fight. So those days of Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, literally 4 days in a row is a good learning lesson. So in those days when you were trying to go higher, lower, right? Volatility started going crazy and you hit a node reversion above you or didn't attempt it, and that is a rug pull setup. So when you're reviewing it all together, what does all that mean? Because it could be a bunch of nonsense if you don't follow. So what that means is you block out the noise. What that means is you focus on one indice first and pairing it with the VIX and Vanna instead of trying to watch all three on Trinity and trying to figure out what all three are doing. Because again, if they're not showing the same signs, it's going to confuse you. But you try to pair it first with an indice and then you add the other two and you can see them all work in tandem. It clicks, right? So on those days, and even a day like today when we started ripping in the morning, and I said upside targets. How did I get that upside target at 9:42 a.m. Right? I said 66.80, and we went and hit it by 10:17. How did I get it? Well, because I saw VIX completely compress in the first 5 minutes and pre-market, and I went and looked at my net Vanna chart, and I found the net Vanna 0 point. What does that mean? Because it could be nonsense. So what that means is a Vanna flip. I call it a Vanna flip. That's when Vanna goes from negative to positive, right? So
Mhm.
when you're rising, right? Take this note down, and I'm talking from a market maker perspective. So when Glitch and John Wicks talk, they talk from customer, right? So the customer is the opposite of a market maker. So just so y'all know, don't confuse the two. What I'm talking about is in terms of what a market maker has to do. He's always going to be doing the opposite of what a customer is doing, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's part of the confusion because when I give an answer or Glitch or Wix, we're saying the same thing, but it's two sides of the same coin. So we're talking from two different
Yeah.
sides, right? So what I'm going to explain to you right now, just have it clear in your head. This is from a market maker's perspective, not customer. So whatever I say is going to be the opposite of what's happening on your book, right? So from a market maker's perspective, if you have negative VEX, negative Vanna above you that you spot on Heatseeker map, like you did this morning, and IV drops, it is a buy. As you cross that price, it is a buy. And I'll explain to you why. Right? Negative VEX, when IV is dropping, reduces the deltas. It forces the market maker to buy the regime. So he's going to buy the indices as you cross those spot prices, which you did this morning, He kept having to buy every single spot price above that you kept, well, not you, but the market kept crossing. He kept having to buy it. So you go and looked at the net VEX exposure this morning at 9:31, and you go and see the negative nodes above you, and you start to see it go higher today, this morning, and hold. More buying happens. And how did I pick the 0 point? When the negative turns to positive, because then he will sell. Positive vanna above spot price. When IV down, he sells. So you try to get to the flip point. When does negative become positive? 66.80 at 9:41. I identified 66.80. When did we go and hit 66.80? 10:15. All you need to do was write calls for whenever you got there, and I exited. And then you dropped. I said extreme target T2 66.95. How did I get that? The next 0 point. We didn't break 80. That was it. So again, the regime was identified 30 minutes in advance. All you did was just ride the wave up. Because you're riding with him. Don't fight it. Right? If I identify that as a potential, that's my target. That's when I exit. Can it go higher? Sure. But like I just caught 30 points. What am I complaining about as a trader? Right? So the concept here is there was negative vanna above you and VIX is compressing. It is a buy regime from a market maker's perspective. So on these days, when you see this happening and you see volatility compressing VIX, and you start to see us go higher and higher, and you see the negative nodes get crossed, stay long. You literally watch VIX, Pramod. Literally the chart VIX on top of you. And if it's going down, it's compressing. If it's going up, it's expanding. That's it. Just have it on the side of your screen. So that was today's morning concept and target, right? Can you pull up this morning's? I don't know where you're scrolling, John. Can you just go to SPXW real quick, please?
Yeah, I'm just looking at SPX spike. I didn't play the morning. I was in a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, that's
So I was
fine.
just
Can you
trying
go to
to
net?
figure out
Yeah,
what.
net. Are you on net VEX? No, you're on JEX.
All
Net
right,
VEX,
go into
please.
VEX and I'll
And
go
then go to
to.
just screenshot or just stop it. Yeah, just pause it real quick at 9:40 a.m.
Sounds good.
I'll try to show you what I was looking at. All right, just pause it there and then scroll up. Okay, where were spot price at 9:40? 66.40.
Spot price was 60. Yeah, 66.35.
Okay, so just scroll right there. Pause for a second, please. So so what am I looking at this morning? All right, we crossed a negative node 66.35. All right, we've got a negative node above at 66.45, 66.50, and then a flip 0 point at 55, and then another flip that didn't show up till later around 80 to 90. So what was my target one? Well, if VIX kept going down, that negative node at 50 to positive, that's resistance one. So stay long till 55. Then that breaks, as you can hit play and see what happens. We break 55. Then your 0 point moves up to boom, pause. You see the 0 point? Pause. Negative 68, 264, negative 226. There's your battle. Target two, 66.80. What did we hit? What, 82 and stopped? So that plan was in the first 10 minutes of the market day. So as long as volatility kept dying, it told me to stay in calls because we're going to continue to go higher and we're going to stop there and then we're going to go higher and then we're going to stop there, and which we did. Now look at the next flip point. You see how this is all negative, positive, negative, positive. Now it's a battle, right? You see that huge node develop at 67.05. Positive vanna above spot when IV down is a sell. So why did we not get to 67.05? Look at all that resistance that just got built. And look how big 6,700 got, and look how big 66.95 got. You're not going higher. You're done. And what happened
Yeah,
when
the
IV
next
was
0 point
going
up. Yeah.
when IV was going down? You sold, and that was your top. And then IV started going up, and you sold off. Now everything I just explained to you flip in your head, and that was your top. And this is why I left the trade, and I said I'm done with my longs, and I went short 15 minutes later. Now, again, that logic, guys, was applied at 9:05 a.m. and was executed by 9:38, 9:40 a.m. And I didn't need to do anything else. This is how trading should be. Boring. This should be your target. This should be your target. And how do you know you're wrong? Well, when VIX starts going in your wrong direction, you get out. But literally, you needed to do nothing after 9:40 a.m. I just sat there and twiddled my fingers. All right. Why didn't I stop at 66.75? Well, dude, my target was 66.80. That's 5 points, Chelsea. You got to have a 5 to 10 point range. Like I got out at 66.80 because that one candle shot up to 80. If you zoom into that morning, top left hand screen, please, on SPY or SPX,
All right,
wherever you have SPX open, like that one
right here.
candle near 10:15 a.m. was all right there. So that was my exit point.
10:15 a.m. was right
When did I exit?
here.
Okay, that was my exit.
Literal top.
There you go, guys. So what do I mean by 0 point? Well, when you see a huge negative notational value, guys, when you see it flip from negative to positive, I call that a zero flip point. Like at that point, you saw how big 6705, 6700, 6695 were, how big positive they were, and you saw how negative it was below you. That is now the market maker fighting. So that to me tells me chop, resistance, slow down price action. So if I'm in calls from 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, I'm not going to fight that data burn now. I've got out. And we died. So one of two things happen. You go sideways or you die. Well, they took the death turn. But the point is, I'm out of my calls. I'm not sitting there waiting for prayers. Because then what happened with VIX, guys? VIX spiked. And now everything I just explained, flip it. Volatility spikes and a negative node above you, sell. Positive node above you, sell. And now you had a double stack rug pull regime and you dropped 60 points. You literally reversed the entire move down. So now go to your net VEX chart as you're dropping. Watch how it moves on the replay, and you will see why you just stay short. So I chased a short at 10:35. No,
You went to short
10:45.
at 10:35.
10:45.
10:45, you
Whatever.
said?
Yeah, 10:45. I chased a short. Like I did I cash a top? No, but I entered at 10:45, which had already dropped. Let's see, it already dropped. It already dropped 18 handles. So you watch the replay of how VEX changed, and in my head, you see how it's going for SPX, and you tell yourself, okay, this is still a retracement regime, right? So you look below you, you've got positive VEX building, which means volatility is rising. Look how 22.5 is growing. Look how 22 is dropping. Look how you're trying to go higher to the 0 point at 25. So the market is trying to bid vol. That's a short regime. And now you go look at the same thing for SPX. John, you're on VIX. Just switch to SPX real
Oh,
quick.
sorry.
No, you're good, bro.
All right, this
It can get
is
confusing sometimes. Go to just pause
10:45.
at, yeah, pause at 10:35 and then we can pause again at 10:50.
Cool.
So we pause at 10:35. Spot prices drop. Look how, so you see how small 6705 got. So look at all that sell pressure that already hit. But now look above you. It's still positive and it's still negative. So that's still a sell regime on vanna. Right? Pause it for a second, please. 6675 is negative. 6670 is positive. So that tells me it could be a potential slowdown right there. So if you're in short, you could exit. Now, when I got in at 10:45, I got in at 75. So it was a late entry. So for me, I was like, either I get another 10 points or so or I get out. But as you press play and continue to watch, uh you start to see those values negative below you and positive below you erode. Look how 6660 eroded. It became negative. Look how big it got negative. So sell. It's continuing to drop negative as volatility expands, is selling. Selling is going and going and going. So now your 0 point is now 6650 and that's lost. And now your 0 point is 40 and then that's lost. And now your 0 point is 30 and that's lost. And now your 0 point is now 20. And we went all the way down to that. So it just kept dropping. The feedback loop did not stop. So if I entered short, I didn't get out because it told me that, yeah, I might have gotten late, but there's more to this trend. And eventually you stop at about 6620. Why, guys? Because now you have positive VEX below you and volatility stopped flying, which means it's going to try to buy the dip and negative above you is going to try to sell. And now you're going to fight the price action. And you went chop, 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 chop. And then you had another death at 11 to 12, and then a spike back to the same level, chop, chop, and then another attempt, and then back to the same level again, and then you closed higher. So again, that was identified by 11:30, 11:45. So your bottom area for the day, right?
Yeah, dude, this
So
is mind blowing.
this is how I trade. So this is all I do, man. Like I analyze this before market open. I have my levels. And once the trade is done, I don't do anything. I don't click any buttons. That's it. So if I'm looking for targets, I'm usually within 5 to 10 points. I consider the trade done. I'm out. I don't wait for it to perfectly hit to the dot, because to me that's enough of a win. If I caught 35 points, I'm not going to chase the last six. I'm not going to get back trying to hold the last five, right? If I got out at 80, the high day was 83. Sometimes the high day is 92, whatever. I caught the move from 40 to 80.
Yep, nobody ever went broke taking profit, man.
No, that's it. So that's what I'm trying to help y'all learn. Like when you learn this and you start to see volatility drive, look at VEX first, look at where the levels are going, and then pair that with JEX, and then try to pair that with where it wants to go and flip and stop and not stop, right? And the 0 point I talk about is something that I've observed over years of trading like this, right? I've been doing this for over 5 years.
All right, let me just see if I can test their comprehension.
Yeah.
Guys, what is 0 point? How do you find the 0 point? On the VEX.
There you go. Two people figured
Yep,
it out.
positive to
Two
negative
people. Yeah.
VEX. Yep.
So when you see multiple flips, then you have multiple areas where market could hit and chop and hit and chop. So it could be indecisive. But then if you start to see negative, 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 negative stack, and then a positive way above you, and that direction is going, then you kind of gravitate towards that flip. So you kind of hold for that and see if it gets that far. Same with below, same on the way down. Negative, 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 negative for like 8 strikes. And then you see a positive. You see if it wants to go all the way there before you reassess. Does it always happen? No, because things keep flipping. But that's the point. Like on a larger move, you kind of have an idea what it might do. Now, if you see a lot of it going back and forth, then you have to wait for a more decisive decision making process. And then you go back to JEX and use a turning mode and see if all those three align to give you a move. Right? It works. The 0 point works in all regimes, but the point of being in a high VIX that is days like today.
Before I get cold.
You can have zeros in multiple ways.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody again.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, I don't know who that was either. Let's make sure.
Don't follow?
Does the 0 point make sense to everybody?
That was that Giul?
Giul.
That was him?
Giul, you in here?
No. I can't find him.
Well, I'm gonna give you permission.
He goes, he's in here, but it wasn't me. He's
Oh,
in
you're
here.
in
Why
here,
couldn't you be?
Well, just to give you permissions, because it should be that you're only allowed to unmute if I give you permission to unmute. It should be that way.
That was not me, I swear.
Well, that's all right. I just wanted to give you the ability to unmute yourself because I know you wanted to share a couple things in later
But
on.
I'm listening along and charting too, trying to find some place for tomorrow. So
Yeah, cool. You can just go ahead and unmute yourself. You should be able to unmute yourself later when you're ready.
all right.
Yep, cool.
Yeah, does that make sense? Now again, is this picture perfect thesis? No, but it's something that I kind of work with, and it works for my trading style, and it works for my approach. And like unlike my boy here who's working on the Bible, right? He's an amazingly good scalper short term. Me, no, I want the pivots. I look for the larger pivots because I want to increase my R to R because I want to capture 40-point moves like today and yesterday the others. I don't me personally, I'm not interested in 5 or 7 points. To me, I don't care about that. But that's my trading style. I prefer 20, 30, 40.
I'm just trying to see. There was a key that was sort of a
Eric,
key
to
that was
answer your
here, not
question,
really.
yeah. Eric, to answer your question, when volatility dies again to 19, 18, 17, your gamma becomes back in your driver's seat.
Yeah, it's below 1918, you said, right?
That's my opinion. Obviously, if you're on
It can
zeros,
change. Okay.
obviously you're on zeros. Like if you're trading like on a 10-minute time frame, gamma matters. But the point is, if you're trying to like nail moves for longer than 10 minutes in the day or 5 minutes in the day, and VIX is like this, you're gonna need to pay attention to Vanna because it's going to drive the move more times than not, in my opinion. Right. But if you only care about entering at 12:47 and getting out at 12:55, it doesn't matter. You're
Hey, how about
all you're
those?
playing is one candle or two candles. It doesn't matter.
How about those VIX gap fills too?
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, those are fun. You can kind of see how it happened here, like right before the trend began to reverse too. We had a multiple gaps to fill. Yeah. Yeah, but for people who had trouble kind of nailing the top, I did see a gatekeeper node on the VIX. They kind of slipped in the floor at that level. We saw upside begin grow. This is just kind of like the customer side. I just wanted to take a quick look at it while he was kind of breaking down the 0 point to everybody. This is the Vanna. What I did see on the Vanna was a slow trickle down of 32, right? Accumulation of downside. And as we began approaching the high of day, we began seeing this 22 floor begin to grow. Leading up to the reversal at 10:15. And at that point, when we're looking to play a gatekeeper node deflection, we want to see upside accumulation in the other direction, which in this case this is the VIX, so this would be a bearish reversal on the indexes. You would basically want to play the direct bounce of 22 and look for upside accumulation. And of course, you want to pair this with context on the charts. You want to see confluence across the indices as well. I kind of briefly looked over it a little bit earlier. I didn't really see like a ton of confluence, like Architect was saying, like it wasn't super clear. Like what he said made a lot of sense, that it's better to look at one index, look at the Vanna and compare it with the VIX, because even the short at today, I didn't really see it like super crystal clear when I was taking a look at it earlier today. But looking at the VIX, we did kind of see that confluence that he was talking about. We did, from my perspective, saw the gatekeeper on 22. That led to the reversal back to the upside here. And I think that was right here, yeah. Which was the low of day for the VIX, which was the high of day for SPX. And as soon as we hit that level, it was just straight up.
Funny how that works. Vanna
Yeah.
drives the move, guys. And I didn't
Yeah.
even pay attention to that today. And the VIX. I was watching SPXW Vanna because
Sure.
that was telling me, but I saw it afterwards. But now y'all see how it pairs, right? The point is don't rush the process when volatility is this high, because you have to understand that these moves are going to whipsaw you left and right for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So when you go up 70, 60 handles and you retrace 50, 60 handles, there's so many ways you can be caught off guard in both ways. But the point is that you understand the regime you're trading. That's what the Vanna should help your brain think. The way I'm trying to help y'all learn is from a market maker. What does he have to do? And what does he need to do during the day in order for the trading to occur? Right. And so where is he going to try to look to play with you or play against you? That's the thing that you should just conceptualize, right? Am I going to fight the trend or am I going to ride the trend? Right.
I'm just answering a couple questions in the chat here.
Yeah, Gabriel. Again, Vanna matters when volatility is this high. It's the driver for, if you are a scalper, it's not as much relevant, like Giul says. If you're anything but a scalper who trades on a little bit larger time frame, it's going to matter. And it's going to drive more than you realize.
Yeah, there's a question here. How are you reading the VIX GEX and VIX VEX heat maps throughout the day? Do I prioritize VIX GEX? For me personally, yeah, I prioritize the VIX, the VIX GEX. The first 10 minutes of the day, it didn't really look like a whole lot was going on. It just kind of looked like, obviously we have a massive node at 32. This was for today's expiration. You know, seeing that node has been there for a while. for several weeks, right? So being that it's so far away, I didn't really give it, that much weight. We're talking an 8-point move on the VIX in the span of a day. I kind of treated that with a grain of salt. That would be absolutely insane if the VIX ripped up that high. But I kind of saw this as a hedge node going into the day because I know that node has been there for a long time. But nevertheless, it did have pull because we did see that 32 node pretty active. What I was looking at is I wanted to see, if in a bearish scenario, I wanted to see unwinding of the 32 node. That's something that, because this node is so big and has so much influence, I'm keeping an eye on this node. But like the first 10 minutes of the day, massive resistance at 26, 25, 23, 22 would have to hold for a move up higher. We did see gradual unwinding of the 32 node. We saw 23 beginning to unwind. We kind of saw these nodes to downside beginning to accumulate as well, as we were beginning to see 32 beginning to gradually decrease. And then we see here that they begin slipping in a floor at 22. And it was at this point that I would say that 22 can act as a gatekeeper node, defending us from downside. Because we did see here that it is a level that has been tested quite a bit in the past. It was resistance. We rejected, we went back down, resistance. We rejected, we went back down. Resistance now turned support. So that's another thing to keep in consideration too.
So it's very funny, and I say funny because I'm just going to use that word because I can't think right now, that everything you just said is on VIX. I guess is my head because it's right, but I completely analyze it 100% differently than what you just said. So
And there's no wrong way to
Yeah.
see it, It's just two sides of the same coin.
right. So I analyze everything, and this is because I train my head like this. So that's probably why. It's because everything is driven by deltas. Every Greek, every movement, everything is driven by delta. Delta is your driving force. And delta is your driving force, which moves as spot price moves. So everything that I analyze on every Greek is driven by that. So when I look at this data and I see negative jacks, positive jacks, negative, whatever, that's telling me exposure sitting that a market maker is sitting on from either people long or short. That's the way I analyze all this stuff, right? So when you talked about that 32 node being negative 14 million, that tells me that there's a lot of people sitting on the short side of the trade on that strike, right? Negative jacks is being driven by negative deltas in the market. So they've either bought puts or sold calls against the 32 strike. Now, since that delta is so far away, because we are 22, 24, it's not really impacting the market. As you can see, when we drop, it dropped. Math, right? But the 22 that he's talking about, that also tells me that folks are sitting there hoping for a lower VIX. So if you were to drop below 22 and hold, you'd get an extreme quick compression, which would really help the markets go crazy up, because now all those people are profitable and they have to unload that, right? So like you said, acted like a node, right? Like a gatekeeper node. So instead of profitizing all those people out, it bounced. So it's going to make all those people below 22 now lose. That's the thinking, right? So that's the way I approach it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think of it in terms of mathematics and deltas. I look at it as positional data based on mats and deltas and how that's changing. Right. And everything John Weeks just said is how the nodes act as magnets and reversals.
Well, I have a quick question, Architect, for you, because did the VIX expire? Did the 1119 column expire at 9 a.m. this morning?
It expired.
I wasn't.
Yeah, it expires market open basically. So it's rolling.
Oh shoot.
it
Sorry, so
rose
that I
up.
should be looking at the 12-17 node then, right?
You
For
should
today's
be looking at 12,
expiration.
and surprisingly, it was positive at 22, and you happened to nail that. Luckily,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
just
yeah, you're right.
just for everyone's
JR.
education, the day of VIX expiration, the morning market opens, it's already rolled off. That contract is done. You can't do anything with that contract anymore.
Okay, good to know. Thanks. Yeah,
No worries.
because I
That
was a bit more
22 node
caught.
happened to be
Oops.
positive, right?
Well,
So
yeah.
it acted as a buying level. So why is it positive, guys? Now, everything I just explained. Positive gamma means positive deltas. That means people are bidding the VIX at 22. They're buying calls or selling puts. They're buying it to be higher. And that was your bounce. It just happened to be perfect, which is great. But the point is, that's how I think of it. Right? So it attracted there, it rises, acts as a reversion. In this case, because it went down, it goes back up.
Yeah, nevertheless, this was still a very important level at 22 to keep an eye on. It is a level that we saw multiple rejections over multiple areas, multiple days, multiple weeks, that we would definitely have been able to see an interaction off of. Even up here at 28s, 29s, 27s, these areas here are still very important to watch because VIX does not stay that high for very long. You can kind of see here how we gapped up to 29 at open, and then we kind of just rejected and dump, 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 dump. I would expect like if we were to come back up to this area, I can definitely see some sort of rejection.
Right.
Just fundamentally speaking, from a technical analysis standpoint, up here, I would probably, me personally, I would probably start looking at Black Friday shopping on long-term portfolio stocks. Just me personally.
Yeah, I'm going to
Just,
answer the two. Go ahead,
yeah.
because there's a few questions
No,
like
no,
what I just explained on the 22 and 24. So I see a
no, go
question,
for it. Go for it,
Sanjeet,
Arky.
PK, Tyler, and Michael. So I'll answer Sanjeet's question first. If you want to scroll up, John, while I'm doing that, see if we missed anything.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm going through.
So Sanjeet, at 32, it tells me that people were sitting because it's negative at 32, that they're sitting way, way out the money. So their delta is very small. So I'm not even like thinking about it when spot price is 23. Because think about it, you're $9 out the money, your delta is going to be negative 0.2 or negative 0.1. So it's not that relevant. So it's, yes, to answer your question, they are short, but it's so far away, it's not really impacting the market, right? As you approach that 27, 28, 29, it's going to matter more and more because your delta rose. You're now becoming profitable, or they are on that trade, right? That's to think about it, right? To answer your next question, PK, yes, at 22, people were long the VIX, positive jacks. They were long. They were buying calls or selling puts, but they were long. They wanted volatility to go higher. So they were long at 22. And since it was negative at 24, they didn't want it to go higher than 24. So they were short, hence the negative jacks. So basically, your pinning action was between 22 and 24. Long off 22, short at 24, right? What happens if that short goes offside? Think about it, right? If that 24 breaks and you're 25, all those people are now unprofitable. Think about it. Like you were on a short that's now red. You're going to sell at a loss and get out. It's going to cause it to go higher because you're on the wrong side of the trade. So breaking 24 would have caused a violent squeeze higher. 25, 26, 27, 28 could go to that 30 node. Understand? So from a market maker perspective, it was trying to bounce from longs of 22, shorts at 24. So how did VIX perform today? Pretty much sat there in that box between 22 and 24.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, right? So again, if you understand the deltas that's driving the money that you're staring at, which is what this Heatseeker tool is telling you, you're now understanding the dynamics of the market happening before it happens. That should be a good goal that you should have. Not just like staring at the numbers and blindly clicking buttons and not understanding what's happening. Like that's just robotic, right? The tool is supposed to help you learn what to look for. PK. So great example. Let's talk about that PK. So if you break 24, right? And what is it you should look for to tell you that it's going to continue to go higher? Say we broke 24, right? We weren't able to stop that negative 7 million exposure, right? So if you start to see 25 and 26 go higher, positive, that becomes your next target higher because people have started to bid volatility to that next level. So
We squeeze up, don't we?
yes, so 1600 becomes 2300 or 2500, and then negative 20, and then the negative 26 431K, that either becomes less negative or more positive because people are losing on the trade, right? But if one of those nodes above you starts to become more negative, then that tells you that, hey, I might have resistance higher now because people are getting confident that it's not going to break this new level. It's going to stop here, which in this case, as of the screenshot, could be 30. But if that 30 goes higher or goes lower, then that tells you your new target is moving. This is the dynamic moving market. So if it's breaking that big level of, say, 24, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for where these values are then trying to go more positive or more negative as you go higher. And if you go higher, they're starting to go more positive and they're going positive below you, you're probably going to continue to go higher. The train is not going to stop then on the spike up on VIX. All right. But if that negative 24 node becomes very big at negative 30, then the train probably stops at 30. Right. So that's what you look for. And you look for this when, guys, like when you break that big node that's sitting in front of your screen, 24. Right. If that doesn't happen, it's a false breakout. You crush back down. And there's your answer. If everything I just explained doesn't start happening as you break 24, then it's probably going to drop back down. Follow?
Yep, and we came up and hit 24 on the head.
Yep. And what happened?
Kind of overshot it.
Yeah. And then
Kind of stabilized in this area. Yep, like you were saying in this box.
And you didn't even, I mean, I expected a little more under 22, but that thing just it quickly bounced. So
No,
there
yeah,
was
yeah,
no
that was a very good breakout retest. Yeah, very clean.
Y'all follow? I mean, no one's saying you have to think this complexity. I'm trying to help y'all, in my opinion, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I'm trying to help you unlock how I think. This is how I analyze every day, right? Pretty much robotic.
Yeah, and even then, like, how could you have cut the top? Well, the VIX was hitting 22 key level, a level that we had tested multiple times through breakout retest. You know, below that, it'd be a free fall. This is a spot that would definitely be well defended, right? Below that, we would likely go down to 20. This support here. But this would be a spot that I would say would be a good spot that the VIX would likely catch a bid. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Three. Love the explanation. Only question I didn't understand is how people are more confident we won't reach 30 because dealers are negative gamma exposure at 30 node.
So the
If
way
you're
I read
referring,
it, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead, architects.
No, the way they go, you take a stab at this. I've been talking about VIX for so long.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. No, I would just say that because 24 is such a large node, for the 1217, completely ignoring this column because, yeah, someone said like, yeah, this is AM expiration. This does not matter anymore, which is absolutely correct. So now looking at the 1217 column, you know, this right here is our king node. This right here is our node. Let me see what time this is at. So this is 1014. This right here is still a node that can block us from going higher. We would need to see 30 continuing to stack and accumulate to the upside in order for us to break and hold above 24. Because unless we break and hold above 24, you know, we're not going to get up to 30, right? We did kind of see a brief bounce up to 24.80. But the idea now is we would need to see 30 continuing to accumulate to the upside in order for another move higher. Because that would have looked like something like this. Something like that.
Yep. And also to think about this, guys, like just think about it in terms of options, right? If you go pull up that chart for 1217, why did I say chart? That's the wrong thing. You go pull up the option chain for VIX 32 at 1217. I'm willing to bet that that thing is under 0.25 delta. Let me just double check. It was let's assume they sold a call at 32. It's a delta of 0.25. Yeah, I said under 30. So yeah, 0.25 delta on that contract. That's so small. Market maker's not even, he's not even feeling that exposure up there at this time, unless you break 24. So for me, I ignore something when it's that far because it has no impact to the hedging that they will have to do until that delta creeps up. And when will it creep up? When you go higher, past 24, 25, 26, that delta will move to 0.41, 43, 45, and then it will matter. And then it can become more attractive to go there. But right now, it's to me, it's irrelevant. So I don't even look at it. Right. And as John Wicks was saying, he looks at something that's closer, which is a 24 note. So right now you watch that. Now look below you guys. If you scroll down the 1217 chain, you have a bid. You have a bid of volatility at 21. And then think about what happens when it loses 20. All of that is not bid. It's all short side exposure. So if it starts to fall, it will fall very fast to 16 unless this shuffles. So in my head, I'm like, if that doesn't shuffle too much, once we lose 20, I expect it to go all the way back to 16 unless something new pops in between. But as of right now, that's my game plan, right? Above 24, I expect it to bid up. So I'm not going to try to get in front of that train. Below 20, I expect it to compress. Between that, you know, your scalper, play the range, play the $3 range, play the box, whatever you want to call it, right? What range of delta is relevant for our analysis? For me, I use everything above 0.43, right? Because it's a 45 delta, it matters, right? When it's deeply in the money above 88.90, it's not impacting the market maker anymore. He's already hedged it off. So what I care about, my range, again, this is my range, 0.4342 to 0.79, 0.8. That matters. Everything outside of those are just too extreme. They've already hedged it off.
Yeah, and I just want to say that if the VIX gets up to like 28, 29, I am going Black Friday shopping in my long-term portfolio.
I mean, it's a fair bet whenever it's that high. Buy the fear.
Oh yeah.
You just never know how long it stays that high. So
No,
you could be
no,
shocked.
not very long.
This is true.
Not very long. Even rarer if we get up to like the 50s.
This is
We
true.
really don't stay up here very long at all. I am taking leaps up here. 100% taking leaps up here.
I would talk to you about that offline on why I agree with that, but also at the same time, not fully when it's at 50.
At 50. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Like I'm more equity than leap because even if you buy over that much time, you're still gonna pay extra on the premium. Even if you
That's a good point.
even if you buy it, right? So for example, people who bought Nvidia when it was 100, think about it this way. They were obviously I didn't do this because I avoid leaps, but when Trump had his tantrum and Nvidia was $100 or 99 or $105, people bought leaps on it, right? When VIX was at like 45. But they bought like 9 months out leaps, a year out leaps, right? Nvidia has doubled. But you know, think about it logically. You went from 100 to 200 and you made a great percentage, but you wouldn't have made as much, you know, if you had bought it at 14 VIX, right? Because you already took that extra risk that they baked into every chain across the entire complex. And then as it drops, they take that out of every chain, which they did from 50 down to 15. So
Oh, it's like you were
just,
saying they put the risk onto you.
Yeah, the deltas readjust, your everything readjusts, your IV readjusts. So you make a you literally buy the fear, but you also end up paying more to buy the fear. So I go heavy equity, less option leaps when VIX is that high. I go heavy leaps when it's at 15, 16, because I'm not paying the same amount. And I will make
Okay.
more because I'm not paying the same amount. You sell premium. That's the best time to sell. Like you know that it's that the market is extreme fear. You make a killing selling. That's when premium sellers love. Because when that crushes, they make a lot more at 40 vol than 10 vol.
All right. Someone wanted me to recap a random day on the heat map to see how that would have played out. I'll take a stab at it.
MZOM. Yeah, go ahead. I want to answer a question directly to somebody who said something.
I'll just do, I don't know.
Today's low SPX. People keep asking about that.
Let's just do like a random day in like, I don't know, October, I guess.
Giul.
So this was the tariff dump. Yeah, let's do some sort of day in here. Let's just do a random day in there. And this is a great time. Let's do October 14th.
Yo,
Just
John.
play the YouTube videos. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, why don't you just play the YouTube video of like whatever day they're asking for and just walk through like how price reacts around those nodes and how, price action played out for that
Oh,
day.
Dixon cues, right?
Yeah.
All
Why don't
right,
we
yeah,
all
we
just
can do
like
that.
watch a video and just like break it down? Because whatever they're asking for you to play through a whole day on the heat map or like on TradingView is already done.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I
I
mean?
think Glitch kind of posted Dixon cues thing.
Yeah, you might want to slow it down. Yeah, it does go kind of fast. If you like do YouTube playback speed at like 0.5, um, that might help people. I could try to find, I mean, what's his YouTube? Because we can just go to that and just select it from there instead of scrolling.
Like,
I'll try to find it quick.
yeah, thanks. It's in, no, it's in Glitch now, so this is right. It's in here. Yeah, right here.
Yo, what's up?
Hey,
What's that?
what's up, Glitchy?
What you watching,
Uh,
dude?
an ad.
Oh,
I was showing them.
okay.
I was. That's so funny. Oh my God. No, I was showing them. Someone wanted to see like a recap of Dixon Q's thing on the Trinity mode.
All right, got it. Cool, cool.
Oh, that's funny. Glitchy came out the wrong moment.
Yeah, I thought you were sharing the wrong screen for a bit.
No, dude. Oh my gosh. All right. This was. I just wanted to see. This was a day ago. All right. So we opened up. Actually, I think Jewel was right. Kind of need to slow this down. So we opened up the day with the keynote at 6660. We had a keynote down on SPY at 6660, and we had a keynote up at uh, QQQ at 610. First and foremost, first 30 minutes of the day, I like to give it a little bit more of a shuffle. I do see just based off of TA off the charts, actually, I'm going to go back here too, because I do like to draw my support and resistance as well. I tend to do that on my ES and NQ charts. That's just how I do it. And I do that on the hourly. So we'll just do Tuesday at open. Just from a quick perspective here, I'm seeing that this is an important level. Let's see, this is an important level. Here. Because I had a lot of people asking about how I trade. So I kind of just show people what I would do. You know, in this scenario on Tuesday, we were kind of hitting this really, really important resistance. I'm sorry, this important support. You know, this area here originally held. We had this massive bounce off of it. We had another massive bounce here. This was a liquidity hunt that glitch always preaches. And we were kind of seeing buyers step in at this level too. You know, my next area and the clear line in the sand for me is this spot needs to hold, or we will go much, much lower. My next supports would likely be somewhere around here. Here, definitely down here. And probably a level right around here. So, and this was actually in line here with a very important key level. We actually did get that look. This was the liquidity hunt that I kind of mentioned yesterday at 420. Which did end up on Heatseeker being an important level. All right, so we have 6680 as a keynote. We have 6660 as a keynote to the downside on SPY. We have 602 as a keynote to the upside on QQQ. Right now, I would be saying just right off the bat, you know, we did have a massive gap down. We kind of did get some sort of mean reversion back up to around 6665, 6660, which did line up with the red tap of the keynote. You know, when we see these keynote rejections, we do want to give them a discrepancy of about 5 points either side. So 6660 did come into play. We saw a bunch of reshuffling, especially on QQQ. We did see that we formed like a little bit of a pullback. This would have been in line with like a golden pocket reversal, golden pocket, bearish golden pocket. And we did see a dump off of that. You know, we did see SPY at 655 beginning to accumulate. This was a very, very important area to watch. And we did see 6600 here as well, 6575 growing. That, you know, if we come down to 6600, you know, next line in the sand down, this would be the line in the sand down to 6575. We're seeing how 6600 and 6575 are definitely becoming dominant nodes. You know, price was already delivered from 6600, right? So I really wouldn't be inclined on buying the dip, especially because we did see significant selling pressure at the time on SPY. We did also see QQQ beginning to flip down as well. The ideal entry would have definitely been at the direct tap of 6600 here on the day. Here we are approaching that 6600 level. We still see 655 on SPY, and we see 593 on QQQ as well. We still see a little bit of room down. Here we did see, you know, as we were tapping 6600, we did see rapid node growth at 65.75. This is why it's important, keep an eye on node rate of change, right? We did still see some significant selling pressure on SPY and QQQ. So I didn't really see a bull thesis yet at SPX 6600. I still think we did have another leg down. And that was evident by the fact that 655 on SPY was still pointing down and QQQ still had a little bit of room down as well. Here we had a double bottom, right? This was an overshoot. We came back up, we tested 6610 again. This was kind of like a double top, almost like a liquidity hunt here. Scalpable definitely for those who are expert scalpers. Would have been something that I would have played. But we did form a double bottom here, right? Remember, the bread and butter setups occur at double bottoms and double tops. Even better if you get liquidity hunts, right? I believe this was also in line with what I was mentioning here on ES and Q, which is like right around here. Yeah, I believe it was something like this. That we came down, we tested this previous level, we stop hunted people below this level, and we got the reversal back to the upside. This was the dip buy. Here we did see a bit of chop. Actually, yeah, I think it was maybe a bit lower than. Yeah, this was the direct tap of 65.75 now, right? Which was in line with the fact that SPY was hitting its floor at 655, and we overshot 593. Upside was present on QQQ, and we were hitting seller exhaustion on SPX and SPY. And here we see a rapid accumulation back to the upside as well. Yeah, that SPY Pika node was definitely a big player. We saw that 655 very early on in the day. Yeah, that was the literal bottom. Yeah. Yeah, the deflection did happen at 11:03. Yeah, I'm still adjusting because where I live, um, I'm like I'm like paired with the Eastern time zone like 6 months out of the year. And because of the time zone that just happened, I'm still kind of adjusting. So yeah, but that was the dip. Did everybody see that? So we saw very early on in the day already that 65.75 and 6.55 were key players, right? That if we were to come down to that level, we have very good risk to reward for calls. Very good risk to reward off of this floor for calls. We were already really overextended to the downside, right? So if you miss the short at open, nobody should be chasing this because first off, we already gapped down. We already tapped 66, 60 within a margin of 5 points. The idea now is to wait for us to hit the floor that we were able to see very early on in the day. 655 was the most apparent dip buy that we had yesterday. As soon as we hit that, which was in line with ES and NQ key levels, we did get that reversal. QQQ was already pointing to the upside. SPX and SPY were already showing signs of exhaustion. We didn't really see much more downside. This was really, really strong Pika nodes, right? And as soon as we hit those levels, we saw rapid reshuffling back to the upside. Look at QQQ. Look at SPX here. Look at a SPY at 661, 659.
So conceptually, let me challenge y'all, right?
Yeah.
So go back to I mean, obviously you identified the nodes, you see spot price arrive at those levels, and you see those levels hold. And from what I'm trying to help y'all understand the mathematics and what's happening, what is happening now to the folks that were sitting in those calls after spot prices dropped 50 points in profit to now spot price being where they might have entered, right? What do you think happened to their position? So one or two things happens, right? As you get that lineup, either it causes a big mean reversion, which it does, or in certain cases it doesn't, and then your next node moves down. So when you approach that level, you should always have that mentality in your head, right? Like in this case, it bounced perfectly because again, that should tell you that the folks that were sitting in their calls, they obviously lost quite a bit of money in profits as price went down from 66.50 to there, but they were still confident enough to sit in them. How do you make that assessment? Well, let's look at the numbers. Those numbers stay large. That is your assessment. As you approach those levels, they continue to remain large because they continue to remain in their calls. So it will continue to act as a support until it doesn't. Now I'm explaining the mathematics behind the deltas. So if you want to understand visually how to track it, that's how you track it. As you approach those levels and you start to see 8.5 drop, you start to see 43 drop, meaning get closer to zero. That should tell you that people are exiting their position and it has less chance of holding. So it probably won't work. And you'll probably go lower. And then you look for the next positive node that builds below you. So it's a reshuffling of the players. As you approach those levels, those players were not scared. So you should not be scared too long either at that level. And that is how you would identify that as a long. Otherwise, you don't. Follow? So it's the deltas and the mathematics behind the visuals of what y'all are tracking.
Does this make sense to everybody? Does everybody see this setup here? We had QQQ at 593. We needed to see some sort of reversion. We saw significant floors at 65, 75, and 655. Architect was also saying, these numbers stay big, right? we saw mapper shuffle in the other direction now. Yeah, long from Pika pillows. Exactly. Yeah, well, that's all I got. Architect, you have anything else? Glitchy, did you want to do any recap? I didn't really cover today that much. I focused on this recap here.
Wait, what? So someone, Cameron, is asking me to re-explain what I just explained one more time. If those levels hold about the same node number, it's probably going to hold. If they unwind, it probably won't hold. Yeah, so basically, yeah, today, right? 595 QQQ. Great point out TR1 show. Right? 595 was that. I can't keep up with these Pico Barney names, bro. Y'all come up with something new every time. All right,
Bro,
I'm gonna just take.
you're the one that came up with those names.
I did not. No, no, no. Do not throw this at me. I did not come up with any of those. I 100% will agree to that. I would not. Y'all started saying Barney, and I just followed. The 595 QQQ example today is a great example. So to answer your question, TR1 show, right? As you approach 595 from above, right? Spot prices coming down, right? People who are sitting in those longs, they've lost money. It's eroded their position. But if you don't see the notational value erode, meaning the number you're tracking as you start to hit, it remains pretty strong and yellow and highlighted and whatever color you want to look at, that should tell you the higher confidence that we bounce off that level. If that level starts to go towards zero because it was positive, that should tell you it's probably not going to be as high confidence that it works. It could still work. You just have less confidence in it. Right? So think about what's happening. The players have reshuffled their exposure. As it dropped, they got out. But if they dropped and it did not, then you look for a bounce. Understand? Face reveal? Nope, I don't do face reveals. Does that help? Now again, we could probably go back enough with the replays and find a time when this didn't work. And how do you test that theory? Look at the positive node below you, and as you approached it from above, you saw it erode, meaning go towards zero, and then go look at price action, and then look at if it held or not. And if it didn't hold, there you go, it went lower. There's your answer. Same thing on the way up. If you're going up and the node above you grows more negative, you probably stop. That's it. You reverse. Play the short. The negative purple burning node.
Glitchy or Joel, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I mean, I can go over stuff if people want, but it's pretty late for everybody now. I think people want to go to sleep now.
Yeah, I'm an hour ahead
I
now
mean, we
because of the
literally
time
sniped the
change.
lows at the 6610 today. Like that shit paid like 500% to 1000% with like barely any drawdown. But I think I posted a pretty good recap of that one already.
Yeah, I'll have to go watch that. I was too busy playing COD.
All right, well, you can wash up. I can go ahead and do a recap of the snipe that we did today towards the end of the day.
Let me stop sharing my screen then.
Archie, you're gonna go wash up, right?
Said what?
You're gonna go wash up, right?
Watch what?
You said you're gonna go wash up, right?
Wash up? No, I said I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't watch it. Got it,
No,
okay.
because I was playing COD.
Oh, I see, I see. All right. Uh, isn't Luigi gonna share his Costco trade today?
He could.
Luigi, where you at?
Michael just asked why me and Giul are watching AVGO at 360. What are you?
Wait, it's not. Can I just say one thing?
Did I say your name wrong?
Yeah,
Luigi?
My real actual name is Giuliano, right?
Oh, that's
Shorten it down, it's just Jewel.
my bad.
No, you're good. And
Wrong.
first of all, I'm not glitch either. So many people are like coming to my lives, calling me
Man, these
glitch.
motherfuckers got beef.
I'm not glitch. I'll never be glitch, right? Um, I mean, I can chart up Costco quick. I think I just deleted everything, but I can send it back in and then have like John pull it up or something.
Yeah, hold on. Let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and share yours while you get yours ready then, so we can go ahead and save time. All right.
Yeah.
Just give everybody a second. All right, so let me just make sure I got my windows ready. I want to make sure I don't share the wrong screen. All right, Archie, this one might trigger you because I'm gonna pull my chart in TA up real quick. Ready? So towards the end of the day, we caught the whenever I post those crazy emojis, like you guys want to pay attention to that. Like I don't like to make things too obvious, but like if people know me, they know me for my emoji signals and hints. I think 1438 or 1428 or somewhere like that was where we kind of caught the dip earlier. I think 1428. And I'll go ahead and mark out like how I pretty much do TA when I trade. Like when I trade, like I usually use like a naked chart. Like I got nothing else on it except for lines. Like I even have like a volume subgraph down here, but the only reason I have it is because like I think it looks cool. It's not like because I actually use it. So you can ignore that. One thing that I advise everybody to keep in mind and consider is where the strongest bounces on the day happen. So stuff like this, like these are the levels that kind of intrigue me. Like I don't draw lines at like every single level. Like it just gets a lot messier at that point. But like the ones that you should care about are the ones that result in like massive like V reversals like this one. You can use like this price indicator to see how much it's bouncing. For example, like this is like a 1.32% bounce. This one is a 1.3% bounce. And look at this one. Like this one was a 1.68% bounce. So earlier in the day, this was yesterday at 9:30, or this is today at 9:30 in the morning. So right in the morning, what you get is a massive reversal from here. This is a 1.7% reversal that happens in, let's see how much time. All right. Wait, what? Okay, hold on. All right, so this 1.7% reversal leg on QQQ all happened in less than an hour. Like for QQQ to move 1.7% in an hour, like that's more than its average ATR, right? So I don't know if people know what average true range is, but generally like that's an average of how much a ticker moves on a particular day over a period. These V reversals are things that interest me because like it indicates that at this level, like buyers and bulls stepped in incredibly hard. So when I draw my support and resistance levels, like the very simple ones, like the only thing I care about are the ones that led to massive impulses in a short period of time, because that just indicates there's a massive buy loop that's happening there and you get this insane spike, okay? So I'm watching that throughout the day, like we got a dip down here towards the 596 and then the 595. And I think for whatever reason, like, you could have bought this, like, this is what I call a liquidity hunt right here. Um, and these get deeper and deeper these days. And the reason they're getting deeper is because, like, you're just getting a lot more manipulation happening. So we call it a little Timmy hunt. All right. So it dips down below here, it catches it back up. And then what happens is after the bulls reclaim this level, like one thing I'm looking for is for them to go ahead and hold it going forward. So, this level is like the important level that I'm watching. This was at, let's go ahead and see what time it was at. How the fuck do I move the zoom window? All right. So this is at 1430. I'll go ahead and zoom out to what the Heatseeker looked like at 1430, okay? All right, so you got Heatseeker up right here. Let's go ahead and do the QQQ replay. Let's go ahead and pull it to 1430, 230. All right. So first thing first, like QQQ is nearing a, a positive exposure node right here. Previous to what was being said, like even the prior example you guys were looking at, there's a major yellow node down there, and it stayed strong as it came down to approach it, right? So let's go ahead and see 1426. Over here, we're at 597.37. This level actually grows larger as we approach it. So for me, that indicates it's an incredibly strong level that price can potentially reverse off of. Generally, like I look at, QQQ, SPX, and SPY, and as long as you get like pretty strong confluence across two of them and the chart and TA supports it, like I'm gonna go ahead and take my shot. Like 2 out of 3 plus like proper, TA and price action support, like that's enough for me. Let's go ahead and look at what SPX looked like at the same time, okay? This was at 229. So if you look here, 6610 was pretty much the major king node. You've got 6620 and 6625 to the upside. So that was pretty much my indication where I was like, okay, that's gonna like gatekeepers for me, like a lot of people are kind of scared to buy the dip off of gatekeepers, but for me, like I actually prefer them because ultimately what happens even if you cut below is that there's a like even if the price cut below like 6610, in my honest opinion, like we wouldn't drop all the way down to 6600. You might get a hunt down to like 6605 before a V reversal happens to the upside. So I mean, that's a shot that I'd take. Like the chart pretty much, I mean, even if I wasn't using Heatseeker at all, I would look at the chart and be like, okay, this is a level where bulls literally bounced it 1.7% within less than an hour. And to me, that means that buyers are just ready to defend that line like all day. Okay. So Chauncey got to me. Did you guys stop out on that initial dip below it? Is that what happened?
I came back to a Timmy reference in the chat and I was so lost. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, you guys all got timid. They literally got timified, man. It's hilarious. Like, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, SPX supported it, the chart supported it, and then, like, most of all, the most important thing for me was QQQ. Like, QQQ has been the theme of the day, and like, the most important thing is like especially with Nvidia earnings coming up, like QQQ is pretty much going to be leading the market for the most part in terms of whether it goes down or whether it goes up. And I think even QQQ on the net vex like pointed pretty strong to the upside. So even though SPY had that downside node, I was like, there might be an expectation that Nvidia just crushes. And, I think Nvidia as well, like, sure it had, this 170 over here, but if you look at the VEX chart, well, you've got massive accumulation up here at 205, and then you've got massive at 202, 220. So in terms of like where I place the most weightage in terms of what's going to lead the market, like my choice would have been QQQ. And like SPX is just the cherry on top that supports a potential gatekeeper bounce. So like that's pretty much it. Like my explanations are not going to be as complex. Like if you guys want me to get complex, like I can, but I'd rather do it on paper, just so people can kind of follow along and have the full context. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like if you go into the chat again, you look at what time I posted the Giphy, like it was I think 2:28 Eastern time, and that was right before we reversed and pretty much exploded from there. And yeah, Chazi, I mean, that's part of the rule, right? I think if anybody is using Heatseeker for the first time, like I think at least for the first, 2 or 3 months, like you really should size for zero because it'll take you a minimum of 2 to 3 months to actually learn how to use the tool effectively. Like there's simply no way you're gonna hop on this with no prior exposure and understanding of how Greeks work in trading and how that pretty much manipulates the market mechanics and be successful. Like I think people are just rushing the process a little too much and they're ignoring the rules that I'm indicating, the rules that are there for a reason. Like I'm not saying you got to size for zero for the rest of your life. What I'm saying is like during the learning phase, you should size for zero because you need to give yourself that margin for error, right? Like your entries are not going to be as precise and they're not going to be as perfect. So your drawdown can be pretty steep. I think a lot of scenarios, like you're gonna size too big, your entry was not sniper level perfect. As a result of it, your position's gonna draw down 30 to 40%. You're gonna go ahead and bitch out of your position. And then what's gonna happen is you get the V reversal like that off of a Barney node or a Pico node. and then you're gonna see that contract go up like 500 to 600% after you stopped out. Then you're in tilt and you're gonna revenge trade and you're gonna dig yourself a deeper hole because you're forcing the next trade instead of resetting and being patient for the next A plus opportunity. I mean, any tips for sniper entries is like, yeah, I mean, you should, I mean, like, contrary to like how other people stated it, like wait for confirmation, like wait for the trend to change, wait for momentum and stuff like that. Like, that's not how I trade. Like, I prefer to front run and kind of predict what's going to happen at those major levels. So if you truly want to snipe, like, I think the most important thing is like, you just have to build confidence and a lot of conviction in terms of how price is going to react as they approach those major nodes and exposure levels. Like if you wait for it to sweep and then buy in, what you're effectively saying is that it's going to sweep, it's going to bounce, and then you're going to buy in. But like once you get really, really, really good, you will be able to understand where the liquidity level, like sweeps are going to happen. And as the little Timmies get timified and they stop out of their calls, that's where you're going to be swooping them up for really, really cheap. That way, after you get in with the limit bid, which is a lowball offer on people that are panic selling, it's going to reverse and immediately your position will be up like 15 to 30%. Like that's what I call a sniper entry. Like a sniper entry, if you do it right, like 5 seconds or 10 seconds after you enter your trade, like you should be well in the green already. I don't know what UNH did. I think the only thing I know is that people were trying to buy off of a 320 node, but then the market gapped down the next day. So I don't think it's unexpected. It's just if you're swinging, that's the level of risk that you take on. No, the glitch dot doesn't have Greeks incorporated into it. That's like a purely mathematical, like regression-based indicator. So yeah, I haven't found a way to incorporate Greeks into a trading view indicator yet, but we are building a trading view integration to overlay Heatseeker on top of it. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, if the node is growing or losing as it comes to a node, and also like how many times it's been tested, how much the nodes that are surrounding it is changing, for example. If there's like a node that's like, 3 or 4 strikes down and it's like tripling or quadrupling in size while it's approaching the node that I'm trying to play off of, then I might go in a little bit smaller or I might not be as confident in it. Glock, like I mean, whenever I do take trades, like I'll go ahead and do the recaps, but I don't take that many trades these days. Like I wake up and I probably take like 1 or 2 trades and I'm done. And some days like I won't take any trade at all. Like I just don't have the bandwidth right now to sit in front of the screen to go ahead and snipe. But with the alerting system that we're building out, it's possible that I might have. I always got to do a little sneak peek of what we're building right now. But
Oh, he's giving the sneak peek.
gotta give the sneak
Let's
peek.
go.
But yeah, we're building out the alerting system right now, so ultimately you should be able to go ahead and create an alert on like, your entire watch list or on a single ticker. For example, you could do one for like, SPY, you can call it like SPY node reversals. You can go ahead and set it to, you can monitor like, 5 nodes or you can monitor like 7 nodes. Generally like 3 or 4 is recommended. You could do something like this. You could do a gex expiration range. For this one, it's effectively saying like only monitor the first column, or you can set it to monitor like, 2 or 3 or 4, depending on, whether you want to swing or day trade. And then we could do proximity, points, and I'll do 5 points. Um, and yeah, you can go ahead and create it. And then now, whenever SPX comes within 5 point range of a prominent node, it'll go ahead and send you an alert. Yeah, we're beta testing this one with the success team right now. So they're going through it, they're trying to break things, and we're going to continue to improve upon it. But this should be released by end of November, we're hoping. And then we'll be working on identifying like node shuffles as well. So like if the key node is changing or shifting, or if there's a major exposure level that pops up out of nowhere, like the Google Vex node right before the 13F filing, you'll have an opportunity to catch stuff like that. And yeah, there's a lot more stuff coming that you guys should be excited for. Like this is like the first thing that we're working on. There's around 4 different things we're working on in parallel right now. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty sick. And that's why I'm saying, like, all these other people are copying what we're doing, but it's like they don't know the level of depth that we're going into with all the features that we're releasing. So, should have some pretty nice stuff coming out.
I thought it's all about the heat map, cuz.
Yeah, everybody think it's
Heat
about the
map.
heat map.
It's the heat map.
It's like the heat, man. We won't even be using the heat
The
map like
one, the
3
one
months
that
from
the one
now.
that you can't even read, cuz.
I
I'm
know.
squinting. I don't
I
know.
gotta tell you, Glitch, it is fucking amazing already, dude.
Dude, it's the spreadsheets, man. Yeah,
The
I think
Excel
somebody,
sheet.
yeah, somebody earlier they asked for a feature where they want to be able to see what the node exposure was at the time that a level got tapped. So we added this, which is a tooltip that shows, what value it was, and then it'll also show you like the exact timestamp. So you should be able to go back at any point and see like historically what the level was in terms of exposure. This historical stuff we're only going to keep for 7 days, and we're going to go ahead and churn it out after, just for like storage purposes. But yeah, this should be a nice gift for you all. So yep, that's some cool stuff that's coming. Hopefully it helps. We won't be charging more for it. It's all included as part of your membership. So yeah, just look forward to it. We're also working on Flowseeker right now. I think we can go ahead and get that out before the end of the year. And then the trading view integration, we're hoping to get out before the end of the year as well. Yeah, the trading view integration, I just signed a contract with them, so we got access to their entire code base, so we could just integrate it raw into the Skylit platform. And similarly to the trend spider charts that you've been seeing that have the indicators built by Packet, PCKT, we'll be building out something similar on TradingView directly. Yeah, I could talk more about Flowseeker. Flowseeker is pretty much going to be unusual whales on steroids. We have the same backend data infra that they have, so we pretty much store every single trade that hits the trade desk raw in the backend. And we're building a pretty cool interpretation layer on top of it so that we bring the best of what's already out there, but we plan to include a lot more features where you could pin or mark a particular like whale order, and then you can get automated notifications if people are doubling down on it, or if they're, exiting it, or if their position is down like 50%, and then you want to go ahead and swoop it at a discount. Like a good example is like NBIS, like IREN, Bloom Energy. Like a lot of those whales were in from way before this dump happened. Their position dropped down to like negative like 50% or 70%. And then now they're in the money, right? But how great could it be if you knew those whales entered and you didn't want to chase them in and enter at the same time, but you want to get in at a 50% discount as opposed to those people that are still in? Then you have a great opportunity to like get in at discounts of positions that whales are already in, right? So that's kind of the whole logic and thought process behind FlowSeeker. Like we not only want to go ahead and display and surface like whale orders, we want people to be able to track them and be able to get in at it's like getting a Dressage discount, right? Like you're getting a discount on a whale order, and like that's going to be very, very valuable. I mean, I don't think there's a way to separate higher confidence whale orders such as insiders versus whale gamblers. Like, I think the element of mystery is always going to be there. But one thing that we're going to get really, really good at is being able to understand if something is truly a buy to open order versus a STO order. Like right now, people are just making very, very naive assumptions based upon like where on the bid ask the order is being placed. But there's so many more factors that go into play that help determine if something is a BTO or a STO order. And we've got some pretty cool like inference models to be able to help determine that with a greater level of accuracy. Yeah, the cheddar flow is like a very terrible and naive like flow tool. Like nobody should be using that.
Um, quick question for not question, but I'm just wondering if you still got the tool up because a bunch of us are watching that AVG off 360, 361. I've got a few questions on it already.
What tool?
The Skylit, if you could log in real quick.
What you want me to log in for?
Just to pull up the chart because I don't have the I'm on the chart open up.
Here?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about Broadcom for my upcoming idea why a lot of us are watching this.
Isn't Broadcom gonna gap up tomorrow?
It is, and it's holding 361. So that's why I've been eyeing longs over 361 to
Yeah.
380. So my target is 380. And the reason I
Yeah.
had 380 as a target is well now the node shifted, but it used to be there. There was a positive Jex node a couple of days ago. I guess they took it off. Um, but I do believe now that they'll re-bring it back in, but it was sitting there for 11.21 and 11.28 some time back. But yeah, that 360 was what I was watching for so long because it couldn't break above it. People were just stuck in calls and losing profits. So now what's going to happen is that Delta is going to severely shift them in the money off this gap up, and they're going to be offside, meaning market makers. So they're going to have to help construe the trade higher. So my thesis is as long as 361 holds it open, which it is overnight, you should see a yellow node appear at some point between 375 and 377, and then that's going to be my upside target through 1128.
Can you go to Swing Ideas in the Discord channel and just pull up my AVGO idea?
Oh yeah,
Why don't you pull it up?
you put it there too, bro.
Yeah, share your screen and you pull it up.
I'm on my phone because it's clear because I keep getting bitched at that my mic sucks, so I can't.
All right,
Can you just do it for me?
Yeah, hold up.
Thank you.
Sound like brothers.
Because my target for AVGO was actually 370. Well, first target. You're
Yes.
I feel like you're shooting like for the higher target.
Longer swings. Yeah, two to 2.5 weeks out for 380. Yep.
Yeah, I play most of my calls like 1
You
week.
talking about this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's talking about that 360 area there I drew.
Yeah.
Which also is like that king node. So if price is above that, we can come back easily, retest 360, use it as support, and then target the next upside
So
area.
you think it's gonna happen is like you saying it's gonna go like that?
He thinks it's gonna go like that. I think it's gonna go
Yeah.
370 first.
Yeah, but my question is, why didn't you guys buy right here at the golden zone retracement of this swing low and swing high?
I mean, if you scroll up, did I not have a play in Swing Ideas that said buy calls over 345?
I mean, I'm asking why you didn't buy at 337 right here.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Because it did a little Timmy hunt right here and broke back above, retested. That's probably a 61.8 retracement, and then I mean you'd be riding this bitch all the way up.
True.
Anyway, I'm just giving you a hard time, man.
Mine at a break of 345 sends it higher. I up arrowed it in the same channel.
Yeah, I think semis and data center plays, man, this is going to be interesting watching tomorrow and Friday play out. Everybody's going to be chasing them. But let's just say those nodes on the upside have been there for a long time throughout this entire dump. So you guys missed out on some great discounts. Yeah, BE to 140 would not be surprising. We're probably going to gap up to like 115 to like 120-ish tomorrow.
John, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. You want me to share
want-
the play?
Yeah, share the cost play quick. You can go
Alright,
picture
I'm
by
gonna-
picture downwards.
Yeah, here I have the three pictures that you sent me. Yeah.
And then can you pull up the Vex from yesterday around like 2 p.m.? And then
Cost
you want-
Vex 2 p.m. yesterday. Hang on, let me get there.
yeah. And then you can kind of replay, I guess, today's price action if you want. But there's not gonna be much to talk about since it was kind of just a straight knife.
So this is the Vex. You said cost for
You have to share your screen
11:18
out.
at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't think your screen shared.
No, I know. No, here.
Okay. All right, so as I was charting every night, which I normally do, I kind of noticed cost here. You can easily see that kind of like 907 area as support. Like anyone can really see that. So I kind of just drew a line there and set alarm triggers on both of my lines because I didn't know which way it was going to go. I didn't know if 907 was going to bounce and we were going to send higher. And we didn't know if it was going to break down. So if you go to the first chart still, or actually we could use this one too. So 907 was a major level. If that breaks, you're going to send lower, right? So regardless of Vex showing you 850, 860, 870, like whatever it was lower than 870. You want to draw your next area of support that we could potentially bounce at. So I noticed if you look all the way to the left, we bounced at that area over there 3 times. So instead of drawing a line, it's very more easy on the eyes, very easy to visualize when you draw zones. It helps trading. It helps kind of, visualize where we could potentially bounce, because trying to pinpoint exactly where we'll bounce to the exact cent, it's tough. I mean, it's really tough. So draw it as a zone. It gives you a little more cushion to, go into your play or kind of see things how they move. So I noticed that area over there, and I drew my zone down there. So if you go to the next picture, John, this is what happened today. And a lot of people got caught in this because they didn't enter yesterday, or didn't chase it right at open, like I mentioned you probably would have to do. And a lot of people actually bought down at 875 and, had to sell for a loss or are still holding. I noticed this because I drew it out yesterday, and I exited most of my calls at the bottom there that I swung from yesterday for, I think, about 165%. It was a very clean play from yesterday. I noticed that breakdown. I was actually kind of late to it. I didn't enter at 906. I think I entered at like 900 or even lower. I think like 899. And then I just swung it because that Vex node on costs was growing and was so massive that there was a great potential that we end up knifing into today. So that ended up working out perfectly for us. Do you have the node to the downside on Vex from yesterday? Yeah, right there. That 850 node was what I was targeting. You can see it there when the price was at 902. And I think I ended up just gaining volume throughout the day. And then if you replay today's Jex 2, we kind of bounced.
Replay today's gigs.
Yeah. From morning to yeah. So see those two stacked purple nodes? We ended up actually coming down at 875, tapping it and using it as a support. So right there. So right there we hit 875. And once you start to notice like price climbing up, market rebounding, should have exited your puts there, regardless of that massive Vex for next week, because the market's not perfect. That node to the downside of Vex may actually end up hitting, but it's a next week target. You have like 6-7 trading days for that target to hit. We're not going to knife down, what is that, 40, 35 points on this stock in a day. If we did, that's an incredible trade. You would almost never get that lucky. You're going to see it go down. You're going to see it go back up, come back down again, back up, and then back down again, all the way down to that target if it were to play out. The thing is that I told you guys on my last stream is that we don't know what the market's going to do. There's a lot of time from now until next Friday that can change the course of events of this stock moving downwards. We see it today now in NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA beat earnings, market's gapping up. This most likely might gap up with the market. It's just, you have to weigh out your risk rewards, what you're willing to risk. And who knows, maybe next week, good Trump news comes out and market gaps up again. There's a lot of uncertainty from now until that target. So that's why I always tell you guys, if you're swinging, swing light. If you see green, always take it, because you never know what might happen. If you're a whale, you just want to like risk it and gamble it. Like, sure, you're still holding your puts now. Maybe we'll hit there. But for traders like us, when you see green on your portfolio, you want to take that. So I exited a lot down there. So yeah, that was kind of the trade. We kind of just knifed right down. I was kind of hoping for, maybe a 905, 900 area retest before, buying more. But I also knew a possibility was we just go straight down to that zone. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to play out. We have to be prepared for every single, possibility that might happen. And there was two. There was one that we either gap up, retest that support, and then come down, or we just go straight down. And it ended up being just straight down. And a lot of you guys did chase it and get like 25%, 30%, 40%. Nothing's wrong with that. get in, make your money, get out, and then you go to bed. You go to bed happy, you know. So that was that. I know there is Walmart earnings tomorrow morning. That might be why that node's there. We might hit it, we might not, depending on how Walmart, you know, reacts to earnings. But it was pretty much simple play. So that's pretty much there.
Cool.
Yeah, I got nothing else on it.
We've been live for about 2 hours, so I'm gonna call it. I hope you all found this productive and helpful. You know, any questions, you can reach out to any of us, Nico, me, Giul, Glitch, Architect. We're happy to help you. Yeah, guys, I'll have this recording posted as soon as it's done. I'm gonna wait for a Zoom cloud to upload it, and then as soon as I get that, I'll put it in the announcements tab and probably upload it to YouTube as well. So, have a good night, everybody. Again, any questions, just reach out. You know, don't be a stranger, please. Don't struggle in silence. We're here for you. Nico and I are success team, so we do this for you guys. And yeah, no, happy trading into Thursday and Friday. Remember, Friday's OpEx. Be careful. Take it with a grain of salt. And yeah, I'm here for you guys. See you guys.